Hi, Assalamualaikum. So now this is a video tutorial for module 4, set up resources and assign resources to tasks. So there's going to be several part here. So the part 1, set up resources. So for this part 1, you're going to learn about how to set up work resources, enter the maximum capacity for work resources, enter work resource pay rates, adjust working time in resource calendar, set up cost resources and document resources by using notes. So first thing first is to set up work resources. Before you want to do it, you need to know first what is that work resources. So work resources are the people and equipment doing the work of the project. So project focus on two aspects of the work resources, their availability and their cost. So availability pertains to when specific resources can work on tasks and how much work these resources can perform. So costs refer to the financial costs incurred by resources performing work on the project. In project, work resource names can refer to specific people or to specific job titles. So use whatever naming convention makes the most sense to you and to the people who will see your plan. So the important question is, who will see the resource names and how will they identify the resources? So the resource names you choose will appear both in the project and in any resource information shared from project. So a resource might refer to somebody who is already on staff or to a position to be filled later. If you have not yet filled all of the resource position required, you might not have the name of specific people to enter. In that case, use descriptive placeholder names or job title when setting up resources in project. So setting up work resources. So these are example. So for example, work resource is an individual person identified by name. So you can just put like Jun Kao or Zach Woodall. An individual person identified by job title or function, so you can just put publisher or contract specialist. A group of people who have common skill when assigning such intangible resources to a task, you might not be concerned about who the individual resources are as long as the person has the right skill. So you may can just put copy editors. Else you can equipment is also can be considered as a resources. So you also can put it as offset lithography press, for example. So now to enter work resource name, first thing first, you need to go to the view tab. In the resource view groups, click resource sheet to display the resource sheet view and click an empty cell in the resource sheet name column, and then after that you enter your resource name pressing the enter key after each one, and project applies the default work resource type in the type field. So how can we do this? I would like to show you how can we do this. You go to the data files that has been given earlier. Okay, you open simple setup resources. Okay, so these are the work file. So how can we enter the work resource names? Okay, on the view tab here, you go to the view tab, and then in the resource view here, you go to resource sheet, and it's display the resource sheet view. Click an empty cell in the resource name column. Okay, enter your resource name pressing the enter key after each one. In this case, I would like to use this example. Jun, I don't know how to pronounce this. Jun Kao, I guess. Okay. So basically, this is how you enter the resource name, and you enter. It's automatic. Alright. To insert a new word resource within a resource list, okay, so this is the other way around. Display the resource sheet view. Click in the cell of resource name. Okay, when you want to insert the new resource. On the resource tab, in the insert group, this one, okay, in the insert group, this one, click add resources. and then click work resources. So this is the other way around. So project insert a new row within the new resource name in the resource name column and with numbers of subsequent resources, you see. So with new resource selected, enter the resource name and press enter. In this case, I want you to use this name. Sharon Salaveria. Okay. So the next step is to delete a resources. So you just click at the name of the resource and you click delete resource. So this is how it's worked. Okay. So equipment resource consideration. In project, you set up people and equipment resource in exactly the same way. They are both example of work resources. However, you should be aware of important differences in how you can schedule these two work resources. Most people resource have typical working days of 8 hours, okay, usually, alright, and usually not more than 12 hours. So, but equipment resource might have much more varied capacity for work, ranging from short duration, followed by maintenance, to round-the-clock station without interruption. So, moreover, people resource might be flexible in the tasks they can perform, but equipment resources tend to be more specialized. Okay, so now we move forward. Take a look at the notes. Okay, so enter the maximum capacity for work resources. So work resources do not have unlimited capacity within the limited duration of a plan, and the project helps you manage this. So the max unit field represent, if you want to see where is it, max, okay, max unit. So max unit field represent the maximum capacity of resource to work on the task assigned to that resources. So specifying that a resource has 100% maximum unit means that 100% of the resource working time is available to work on assigned tasks in the plan. So project alert you with indicator and formatting it if you assign the resource to more tasks than resource can accomplish. So for example, resource is over-relocated if it is assigned to two or more tasks at 100% capacity each and the tasks will overlap. 100% is the default max and unit value for the new work resources. So for resource that represent not a specific person but a category of interchangeable people with common skill set, you can enter a large maximum unit value to indicate the number of available people. So for example, like entering a maximum unit value of 200% for such a resource means that you expect 2 individual people who belong to that resource category to be available to work full-time every work day, or 4 individual people to teach work half of a time, or any equivalent combination. So for a resource that has less than full-time availability, you can enter a smaller maximum unit value. For example, entering a maximum unit value of 75% for such a resource means that you expect that resource capacity to be 3/4 of a full-time resources. So for a 40-hour work week, this equals 30 hours of capacity. So note that such as part-time working capacity might apply to a part-time worker or to full-time worker who is allocated to specific project only part-time. So how can we do this? To adjust the resource working capacity, on the view tab in the resource view group, click resource sheet. Okay, let's do this. I think this will be much more clear for you, right? Okay, we go to the file. Okay, on the view tab here, you go to view and the resource group, resource view group, and then you click at resource sheet. Okay, actually it's already show you this. Okay, and then in the resource sheet view, click the max unit, this one. Okay, for the resource you want to adjust, so the max portion of a field column heading might be the only part visible. So enter the new value for the resource. For example, enter 200 to represent 2 resources, you see, or 50% for a resource who has only half-time availability. So this is how you change the maximum percentage here. Alright, now we'll move forward to the next features, which is to enter work resource pay rates. So almost all projects have some financial aspect, and cost limits the scope of many projects. So tracking and managing cost information in project allow the project manager to answer such important question as this: what is the expected total cost of a project based on the task duration and resource assignments? Is the organization using expensive resources to do work that less expensive resource could do? how much money was a specific type of resource or task cost over the life of the project. And is the organization spending money at a rate that it can sustain for the planned duration of the project? So in project, you can enter standard rate and cost per use for work and material resources, in addition to overtime rates for work resources. So you can enter pay rates with variety of time basis, depending on the project, depending on the resources as well. So it can be permanent, it can be per hour, or daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly. So when work resource has a standard pay rates entered and is assigned to a task, project calculates the cost of the assignment. So project does so by multiplying the resource assigned work value by his or her pay rate. So both using a common increment over time, such as hours. You can then see the cost per resource, cost per assignment, and cost per task. So this is something lovely about Microsoft Project, where you enter all this information and the project will calculate for you. So by having this software for your project, I would say it's complete, because this is where you can track down, you can see the link between the tasks, and you also can even see at the cost, how much costs you for each of the tasks, and even you can even finally know that how much the cost of your project. Yeah. Okay, so you can specify when work resource standard and overtime cost should accrue. The option that are the start of work on the task and the end of the work on the task, or prorated evenly over the duration of a task. So in addition to or instead of cost rates, resource can include a set fee the project applies to each task to which the resource is assigned. So this one we call cost per use. Unlike cost rate, the cost per use does not vary with the task duration, amount of work or resource performed on the task. Cost per use can be like a machine, okay, is only being paid for just because of it being using in certain period of time. Okay, so it's quite different. Alright, so now to enter standard rate for resource, so let's do this. On the view tab, resource, okay, we actually here already, right? So in the resource sheet, okay, I want to set a standard pay rate. So you go to this STD rate, so which means that it's standard rate. Okay, enter standard rate by using the format of rate such as 30. Okay, I want to make it 30 $30 per hour. Alright, now to enter the overtime rate for resources, so it's still in this resource sheet view, you go to the overtime. So if let's say this labor or this resource available to work overtime, so we can set it here. Okay, let's say 45 per hour. Alright, so to enter cost per use for resource, okay, due to that, because per use is usually not a person, right? Let's say I want to add on my resources. Alright, so this resource and the cost use, this one, okay, fill the value you want. Let's say $50. So which means this is how I said that if let's say these resources are the cost is per use. It's not being weekly or daily, like hourly, like this. Okay, so now we move forward to adjusting working time in a resource calendar, because it's related with the cost just now. Okay, so a resource calendar control the working and non-working times of specific resource. Project use a resource calendar to determine when work for resource can be scheduled. Resource calendar apply only to work resources, which is people and equipment, not to material or cost resources. So when you initially create resource in a plan, project creates a resource calendar for each work resource. So the initial working time setting for resource calendar exactly match those of the project calendar, which by default is standard based calendar. Alright. So the standard based calendar is built into project and accommodate a default work schedule from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday with an hour of for lunch each day. So evolve, this one is the default. Evolve the working times of your resources match the working time of a project calendar. You do not need to edit any resource calendar. However, chances are good that times of your resources needs exception for to the working time in the project calendar. Then you need to change a flexi time work schedule. For example, like if we have personal holiday, like vacation time, other times when resource is not available to work on the project, such as time spent in training, or maybe they're unable to come to work, right? So this is where you need to adjust your calendar. So so first thing first, on how to do this, to specify calendar section for work resource, you go to the project tab. In the properties group, you go to click change of working time. So in the for calendar box, click the name of the resource whose calendar you want to change, and in the name field of exception tab in the lower portion of the dialog box, enter description of the exception. So the description for the calendar exception is a handy reminder for you and others who might view the plan later. So in the start and finish field, enter select a date you want and you click OK to close the change working dialog box. So let's do this. Okay, on the project tab here, okay, you go to the change working time. Okay, this is actually you want to edit the calendar, right, depending on your resources. So in the field name, you go to the exception here, and the lower portion of the dialog box, enter description of exception. So the description of the calendar section is handy reminder for you and others who might view the plan later. In the start and finish field, enter select dates you want here. Okay. So if let's say I want to go to this one for calendar for Toby, right? I choose Toby here. Alright, so if let's say Toby unable to attend because to work because he's got something out, Toby, I set it the exception here. It's supposed to be on the 26th. Okay, so Toby is not available, so I need to set an exception here. Oh, it shouldn't be June, but it's okay now. And this is January. And then you click OK. So this is how you set exception, meaning Toby won't be available on that date, and the cost or the payment also exclude. Alright. So to modify the resource default working weekdays and times, so you go to the working change working time, and the for calendar. Okay, you choose the resource whose calendar you want to change. Let's say I want to change for Sharon. Okay, so the click at the worksheet work week tab. Alright, and by default directly under the name column heading, and then click detail. Under selected days, select days, you choose set days to no working time. To set working time that differ from base calendar, click set days to these specific working times. To return the base calendar working times, you click at use time for base calendar for these days. So when you complete your edit to the work week, click OK. And then click OK again to close the change. Okay, if let's say you have choose Monday, on which date, you can change it the time here. Okay. And then next, to assign different base calendar to resources, so you close this one, you go to the project tab, okay, here, and then you go to the change working time again, alright, and then go for the for calendar here, and then select the resource one. This time I want to choose Tony, okay, and in the base calendar, and you choose what calendar you might use. So if let's say you have set up different calendar for different resources, then you can choose here. Okay. Now we move forward to adjust working time in resource calendar. So to assign a different base calendar to resource, this one the one that I have told you. Okay, now we move forward to the setup cost resources. So now to set up our cost resources, another type of resource you can use in project is a cost resource. You can use as cost resource to represent a financial cost associated with the task in the plan. Although work resource which is people and equipment, can have associated costs, hourly rates and fixed costs per assignment, the sole purpose of cost resource is to associate a particular type of cost with one or more tasks. So common types of cost resource might include categories of expenses you want to try in plan of accounting or financial reporting purposes, such as travel, entertainment, or training. Alright. Okay, now set up cost resources. Cost resources do not work and have no effect on scheduling of the task. The max unit, standard and overtime pay rate, and cost per use field do not apply to cost resources. So after you assign a cost resource to a task and specify the cost amount per task, you can see the cumulative cost for the type of a cost resource, such as total travel cost in a project. So the way in which cost resource generate cost values differ from that of work resources. So when you assign a work resource to a task, the work resource can generate a cost based on the pay rate, a flat per use cost, or both. You set up such pay rates and cost per use amount once for work resource. So however, you enter the cost value of a cost resource only when you assign it to a task. You do this in the cost field of the assigned resource dialog box in the cost field for the task form with the cost detail shown. So let's do this. You go to this one, you go back to your Gantt chart, okay. Now you go to the view tab, and then you go to the resource group, resource view, and then you click again at resource sheet. Alright, in the resource sheet view, click the resource name, okay, and where you want to add the cost resource. Okay, on the resource tab, insert group, okay, you go to the insert group, add resource, and then click cost, add resource, and click cost resources. Okay, so project insert a row for new cost resources. Project names the new cost resource new resource. So with new resource selected, enter the cost resource name and press enter. Okay, so if you want to do this, what we call set up cost resources. Okay, that's one of the features. Now we move forward to document resources by using notes. So document resources by using notes. You can record additional information about a task, a resource, assignment in the note. for example, like the one that we have done earlier. Okay, so if resources have conference time recorded as an exception in their resource calendar, for example, like Toby just now, so it is a good idea to record this in a note, so the way the note reside in the plan, it can be easily viewed or printed. Okay, so let's see how can we do this. You go back to your slides, sorry, your project, and then okay, go back to this. On the view tab, okay, you go to the resource view and you click at resource sheet. Okay, select resource name. On the resource tab and the property group, you click notes. You go to the resource tab. Okay, go to the notes. Alright, okay, just now it's Toby, right? I forgot, so it's supposed to be Toby here. Okay, let's say I want to say that Toby will be away for conference on 26 Jan. So you see, this is how you can add notes, just like we did earlier to the task. We also can put notes to the resources. Okay, now to enter note for resource by using a resource form, in the view tab, okay, you go to resource sheet, is already here. You go to the resource tab and properties group, and okay, and you click at detail. Alright, so in this type of split view, detail about the item that is selected in the upper pane appear the lower pane. You can quickly change the selected resource name in the upper pane by clicking name directly or by clicking previous or next. So you can just click here. Okay, you can change to which resources that you want to change. Alright, so click anywhere in the resource form view to change the focus to resource form. So the label of the format tag changed to resource form 2. This one. Okay. On the format tab, go to the details, click notes. Oops. Okay, and in the notes box, you can enter notes for the resources. This one, I just give a try to show you. Alright, so Tony, what will be? Let's say Tony will take half day on 26 Jan. This is example. Okay. See, that's how it is. Okay, so that's all for the first part, so we're going to see you next video for the second part.